Okay, so let's launch into it. So tonight is about understanding your investing profiles and understanding how they specifically link to the types of investments that you have. It's pretty cool. I came across this, oh, look, to be fair, it was actually a few years ago, and I guess I neglected it for a little bit, and it's really come to the fore over the last 12 months or so, building out some of the other businesses and supporting existing clients. A couple of people online tonight are in the one-on-one strategy coaching program. There's a couple of other people from around the traps. Everybody's name I recognise apart from two, and that's okay. We can touch base a little bit later. So it's about understanding how you can align your what comes naturally, I guess, to where you're at. So it's kind of part of the three-step system. So the Intelligent Investing Blueprint is that three-step system, as most of you already know. It's map, move, and measure. And I guess that the profile component really comes out in the first step of map, and it's really something that you harness in the step of move, because you're always linking back to what comes naturally and where do you go. The problem is that for so many of us, we're caught in different directions. Sometimes we're being pulled one way and think we need to go a different way. Sometimes we're making investment decisions because we think we should or we have to, rather than is it right? Is it aligned with our true self? Is it authentic? Is it real? Are we making intelligence decisions, or are we rushing into something? The flip side then occurs that if you take too long and you fluff around, then opportunities pass you by. And this is why, when you understand what your strengths are, you can play to your strengths, and certainly make sure that other people take on your areas of weakness. So a lot of the world within wealth and wealth creation, finance and investing is confusing and contradictory. And I'm sure you will all agree with that. So to solve that problem, if you understand a good system, an effective system that allows you to build your wealth most effectively, then I know that that is a good thing. The profiles and what I'll go through is really about, it's not a magic silver bullet solution. However, that being said, for some of you listening tonight, you may have some aha moments like, now I get why such and such a financial or investment decision was better for me or worked better that time. That's why that didn't work. This is about getting into flow. And when I talk about flow, I specifically mean it's the path of least resistance. Okay, it's least resistance. There still is some resistance. There is still some decisions that we make that are going to be challenging, that will stretch us outside of our comfort zone. And if you're not outside of your comfort zone, you're really not growing. But it's the path that has the least amount of obstacles. It's the path that you will flow to. And again, imagine a stream. There are boulders, there are turns, there are obstacles, but the stream will flow, the water will flow. And this is what I want you guys to understand. So when you're looking at your strategy, the questions you're asking is, what should my strategy be? Who do I need on my team? Because we're all smart enough to understand we don't do it all by ourselves. When should I and when should I not take action? How should I apply myself? How I'm actually going to make this happen? And the overarching decision point for all of this is, why do I want the experience that I do? All of us are here not to make money, not to grow wealth, not to control our finances. It's so we can have a great experience, so we can have more time, choice, and freedom, do more of what it is that we enjoy doing. So by understanding your wealth profile and your investing profile, you'll get clarity on where to invest your time and energy. Because yes, money is a resource, but time is a resource and energy is a resource. And everyone will run out of time, 168 hours in a week. We don't have limitless amounts of energy. You're going to have to refuel your energy. You need to understand the steps to take, who you're going to learn from, gain some certainty. But again, it's about making sure that you harness your decisions. Again, I keep coming back to the importance of optimum path in your personal and financial wealth. I can't stress enough, and for those of you who've been working with me at that one-on-one level, you will know how important it is to align your financial decisions with your personal lifestyle. They're not separate. And so often in life, we can get caught up in building businesses and working on our career, looking at our job, looking at our salary, and life kind of just almost takes a sidestep. We forget that if money was no object, what would we be doing? What makes our hearts sing? What's the thing that gives us most joy? What do you know when you get in those moments and it seems like time just flies because you're just so loving what you want to do? And sometimes those painful, annoying things, time just drags on. And that's because you go out of flow. When you're in flow, time just moves. It's effortless. And this is, again, where the investing profiles is about effortless path of least resistance and understanding where you need to get to. Every person on the planet is born with a mixture of 5 predominant frequencies. And if you've done any profiling, there's plenty of different profile types around, okay? Heaps out there. This is not, and I'm not going to go through how, there's no profile test or anything in this. I'm just giving you some information about what works. Okay, it's not a concept. This is something that actually works. So we all have our 4 base frequencies and our 1 overarching frequency. And I guess the overarching frequency, imagine that as that's your why. That's your higher purpose. That's your third eye. That's the reason that you're doing it all. Okay, that's the penultimate, if you like. We all will experience that moment of just oneness and stillness. That is your overarching frequency. But the 4 base frequencies, we all have some of them. But once you understand what you are strongest in, what you are dominant in, and you may actually be dominant in one area and have a little bit of others, you go, okay, that's why I think the way I do. That's why I operate the way I do. That is why in these kind of situations, it's effortless, and these kind of investments, I understand, I enjoy getting involved with more. Sometimes you will also then understand, well, if I am naturally operating in this space, why am I investing in financial investment products that are actually the opposite of where my natural path of least resistance is? And if there is, that will explain why you struggle. That will explain why things don't work out. It doesn't mean you don't invest in those areas. That's when you make the decision that logically that makes sense, but I'm actually going to get someone else to monitor and track that. Okay, that's why. I use the word frequency deliberately because I honestly believe that we all have a frequency, a resonation. Everyone's heard the term, oh, does that resonate with you? How does that feel? That is all that kinesthetic component. That is the feeling component. And you attract different things as you resonate at a certain frequency. So when you're in your natural flow, certain things happen. And again, no mistake. If you're having a crappy day, well, sometimes more crappy stuff comes up. If you're having a great day, more good stuff comes up. If you're thinking about good things, that's what you attract. So tonight, I actually want to talk about some of these areas, and I'm going to use the terms for ease, really, of understand for all of you guys to understand as seasons. Okay, so just imagine that the 4 frequencies are seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So imagine spring. Your spring. What happens in spring season? In spring season, there's new growth. In spring season, the bulbs come out, the buds come out, the sheep birth the lambs. It's the season of new beginnings. Okay, it's the season of new beginnings. It's creation. In summer, what's happening in summer? Well, summer is the next step around. Things are maturing a little bit. It's happening. People are going to the beach. There's lots of action going on. People are coming out of hibernation. It's really a period of activity. In summer, lots of things happen. Okay. In autumn, In autumn, we get a little bit more mature. Things start slowing down a bit. We've had the rebirth. We've had a lot of fun. Things begin to slow down. We begin to go, okay, we know what's coming. We know what's coming. It's going to be cold soon. It's not the time in autumn to start planting new bulbs. It's not the time in autumn to start having new growth and new birth in that season. The leaves fall off the trees, animals go into hibernation, and then along comes winter. It's cold, it's dark, it's just there, righto? Some people love winter. And here's the interesting thing. Once you understand these investor profiles and the frequency, the people that love winter love it for a certain reason. And you'll see this in a little while. You'll go, they actually display all of the frequency, the profiles, the operating systems, the life habits, the thought processes of someone that is just like in winter. And then you have people that are completely opposite, right? People that have opposite. And we're all going to have a little bit of this. And sometimes you can even be a little bit in the middle. So you have the 4 dominant frequencies, but you might be a little bit of one and a little bit of the other. And again, you'll see how that rolls shortly. So whilst we have our summer and our winter, our spring and our autumn, flow is about understanding what is your greatest harmony, what is your natural frequency that works the best, and that is your path of least resistance. Okay? The more time we spend in resonation of what you do, the easier life will appear to be. Okay? Wealth will come easier, relationships will be happier. You'll spend more time doing what naturally you enjoy. Therefore, you're going to have less stress. You're going to feel more at ease. It's going to be more enjoyment. And here's the thing, it's going to be happy. It's going to be joyful when you're in this. When you're not in flow, true wealth, authentic wealth, intelligent decisions is going to be difficult to achieve. So within our wealth creation, we have 2 key components, okay? One is value and one is leverage. How much can we build value in our decision-making, in our products, in our investment decisions, and in our life, okay? And like anything, whether you have dark, you need to have light. Where you have rain, you need to have sun. Where you have male, you need to have female, blah, blah, blah. Where you have intuition, you're going to have sensory value. So you remember at the top side, the high frequency, the intuitive thinking, okay? The intuitive thinking was all about creating stuff. So remember we said that the top, I wanted to make it easy for you. And when you look at the frequencies, when you look at your profiles, when you look at your natural flow, and we said that the season that was at the top of the square was spring. Remember how I spoke about spring was the creative, bulbs coming along, things are growing. As you can see here, this is where innovation happens. This is where you want to make things bigger, smaller, faster, cheaper. You want to create stuff, creating value through innovation. Okay, so that's one of the key components of value. How do you add value? You add value by creating new things, giving people new information. So again, as I said, for the people that are part of my one-on-one, you guys are getting new content information and some new stuff coming down. Then we have the lower frequency. Okay, this is about timing. Okay, this is about why do I need to create something when I can just trade time? I can trade a product. I know when to buy and I know when to sell. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so again, in this frequency, this is a lot slower. This is a lot compared to, again, the opposite of high frequency intuitive, which is big, fast, rah, quick, make it happen. Your lower frequency is timing. There's a lot of sense involved. It's sensory. When we look at leverage, leverage is going to come from the 2 opposites. One, what's the internal dynamic? Okay, and this is everything on the left-hand side of your square. So that was winter. So remember when I said things are about winter it's hunking down, it's getting cold. This is about when we start thinking from our actions How can I have a system? How can I have a process that happens without me? Okay. Again, this all makes so much sense when you think about people who go, I really like being winter. What do they want to do? They don't want to be outside. They want to be inside. They want to be in a quiet space. They want to be near the fire. They want to read a book. They want everyone to go away. And they just want to have stuff to happen without other people. They want to have an experience. So again, in this space, in this frequency, these kind of people are going, I want to really rely on systems and numbers. The polar opposite of that, so it's very internal. So the external dynamic is I need to rely on people. I need to be around people. I need to communicate. So again, we said this season was summer. Everyone's out and about, having parties, communicating, get on with it. So how can I magnify? How can I take something and make it bigger and better? It's not necessarily I'm creating it. It might have already been created. How can I take something that's already existing and I can magnify this? And that is an external dynamic. That's how you build an action leverage. And that's why when we look at the investor profiles, this is so key. So if you line these up, you'll see you've got value and leverage with innovation sitting at the top, then magnification, timing, and multiply. It doesn't go kind of around the clock. It's not like a clock of 12, 3, 6, and 9. Understand that value is north-south. Value is innovation and timing. They're your polar opposites. Okay, leverage is about magnification and multiply. Again, they are polar opposites. We're all going to have some component of these frequencies. We're all going to see how they interplay with each other. And right now is where I'm going to show you how some of these cool innovations happen. So remember, our seasons, which is the easiest way to remember these 4 key frequencies, is spring, summer, autumn, winter. Or you could have it winter, spring, summer, autumn. It doesn't matter where you start. But the easiest way, when I've explained this before, and I'm confident the easiest way it's going to be for you guys as well, is start with spring. Why? Because this is the season of birth. This is the season of creation. Okay, so this is where something is created. And this is where it's innovated. So here's where we go into flow. When we're in flow, if you have a stronger frequency that's about innovation, that's what you're good at. That's what you'll align yourselves with. That's your spring frequency. Your spring flow is innovation. Then from innovation, we're energizing. We're going, again, this is the energy. It's bringing the fuel to the fire, if you like. And again, fuel to the fire, probably, again, no coincidence why with this season is summer. It's hot. There's flames. It's burning. There's energy. People are out and about doing stuff. It's an energizing period of time. It's an energizing type of investment. You are in an energizing flow. Then you'll have connection. Gets a little bit slower. Still some people, but it's more about how can I optimize my time? How can I take what opportunities exist out there? Don't want to create anything new. It's the complete opposite of innovation. Don't want to create anything new. How can I take what I've already got and with key effective placement, build this better? Then from autumn, we move into winter. And again, winter, it's just quiet. It's dead. This is about analysis, not creating anything. I want to connect with people, certainly not looking at energizing and being out and hanging out, creating a lot of energy. It's about winter time. It's about hunkering down. It's about, I just want to look at the numbers. So again, from a flow perspective, from a frequency perspective, from a personality perspective, if you're sitting there going, I really like crunching the numbers, then the types of investments that are going to have you out, having to be with people and create energy and build dynamics, it's not going to work. Can you make it work? Sure you can. Some of the frequencies are learnt skills. Some of them you can work hard at getting better at. But remember, right at the start, I said, this is about your path of least resistance. Your path of least resistance. The questions that each of your frequencies are going to ask. So in your innovation flow, when you're in innovation flow or spring, you're going to be asking yourself, what can I do? What's new? What more is out there? What do people want? What's the best investment? What's the next investment? what's new and shiny. You're going to be asked about creating things. In the energy component, as I said, this is where we're talking about people. So the questions you're asking is who? Who do I know? Who can help? Who can I support? Who is the best person to allow me to build my product? So it's energizing, it's summer, it's creating a connection with people. The connecting component, so in your autumn frequency, this is timing. So you're asking yourself, okay, well, when is the right time? When am I going to do it? When am I going to take action? When's the right time to buy? When is the right time to sell? When is the right time to take action? And finally, in your winter frequency, in your analysis flow, you're asking how. How do I make this happen? Okay, which is very different from who do I need. When you look at the types of information that you want to build, again, in your spring frequency, you're saying, I need to get my information visually, okay, because it's about creation. So often when you hang out with people who are creative, they're artists, they're very visual, they want to build stuff and draw things, okay? They're not there to have a big, long gab session. They're fast, they're looking at what can I do now, so it's very visual. And the information that you want when you're looking at investments, for example, you want to see pictures, you want to see graphs, you're just looking at how do I make this visual? If you are in the summer flow and you're going, it's not about creation, I want to understand this, I'm going to be with people. Well, just imagine how much connection can you have building and hanging out with people if you don't talk to anyone? It's near on impossible. So the information architecture that you're using now is auditory. Okay, it's about communicating through words, verbal communication. Then you start seeing the polar opposite to innovation. So again, instead of going visual, it's light. Here we're looking at that. Remember the autumn, it's slowing down. So again, from a visual component, we go to auditory. And now the connection, we're asking ourselves when, and we're just being kinesthetic. Kinesthetic is about feeling. It slows down a little bit. It's being grounded. Okay, here in this moment, these kind of people, the people that have this as their predominant frequency, it's going to feel right. That's why they're all about timing. And then finally, over your information type on your winter frequency is very analytical, very data. So your three main components, when you actually understand the ways in which people communicate, is you've heard the term VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Well, the fourth one, which is a little bit of the one that is a very small part of the population, is called AD, analytical digital. That's the really analytical people, okay? And again, when you say it's an analytical person, I probably should change it. It's an analytical frequency. It's an analytical path of least resistance. When you're building up all of your investments, there's going to be a time that you need to take charge. So when I talk about leadership types, I really don't want you to think about it's, gee, Duncan, what you're saying is in my lifestyle, in my freedom lifestyle, in my investment lifestyle, I've got to always be the leader. I just want you to understand what this means. So when you're analyzing deals, when you're looking at deals, when you're aligning your investment strategy with your personal strategy, you're asking yourself, what is the task? Okay, so again, if you have a predominant amount of spring energy, spring frequency, if your path of least resistance is that creation, you're all about it's all about task driven. So as a leadership component or as a leadership style or as your drivers, maybe this should be, you are task driven. In the summer frequency, you are people driven. It's not so much about the task. You want to make sure that the people are looked after. You want to make sure that there's a lot of great results for people and, hopefully the task will come. When you're looking at autumn, this is about the activity. What actually happens? Not so much what the overall task is, but what is actually going on. What is, it's that feeling component. What is the practical activity that's happening? And then finally, those analytical people, again, they're back in looking at data, okay? Looking at data. So when you can start seeing how this is aligning up what you do with the decisions you make, this is going to be massive with the way things come. Huge, okay? Absolutely huge. Because if you can understand what you are naturally good at, that's where you start aligning yourself and going, you know, I can see, or I can now understand why certain financial investment decisions work better for me because they are more in my flow. Getting towards the back end, we have our operating types. And here we have significance. So the people in this space are saying, you know what, things have got to be good. They've got to be awesome. It's got to be important. This has to make a huge difference. In the summer time, in your summer frequency, the energizing frequency is about, I want variety, okay? I don't want things to be the same. I want to have change. Okay, again, so we go from the spring frequency of creation, of what can I do? Hey, you know, it's all about me, to in that summer energy to going, you know what, I want to make sure, who can I involve? It's really important that the people are there. We've got to have variety to make it work. In your autumn frequency, it's all about connection. Okay, it's not about you. You acknowledge, hey, it's got nothing to do with me. I just want to make sure that everybody's feeling okay. We've got that kinesthetic feeling thing happening again. How's everyone doing? Is the activity right? You know, how do we all feel about that? Okay, that's going to be one of those questions that here in your autumn frequency, those kind of people are going to be asking. And then over in your winter, it's about certainty. Okay, again, it's the polar opposite. You can see how we go through all of these. You've always going to have a polar opposite. Okay, north is opposite to south, east is opposite to west. Your autumn is opposite to spring, summer is opposite to winter. Your auditory people is opposite to analytical data. Your variety needs driven by summer is the complete opposite to certainty. Significance is the complete opposite to connection. So in the winter frequency, your path of least resistance, your natural frequency that you resonate is, I want to be sure. I want to be sure. And the funny thing is, and for some of you guys that are online tonight, this replicates in your relationships with the people that you love, your husband, your wife, your spouse, or your children. You'll certainly, once you begin to see this, you go, that's why he or she is like that. That's why they are like that. When I first did this, when I first went through this process, and I'll see if I can get my annotation working. Hopefully this will work for us. So I don't know if you can see this little red line, but when I first did this, I discovered that my, here we go. Can you guys see the little red button that's come up? Here it is again. Can you guys see the red mark that's on the right-hand corner of the operating types? You guys see that? Just type in the Q&A just to make sure that you can see it. Is it coming up? Coming? Yep, you can see it. Okay, awesome. So I found that I was really, really heavy in this section. Okay, so it's actually halfway between these two core frequencies. I was right smack bang in the middle. Okay, and that explained a lot. So for me, I'm not completely creative. I have a little bit of creation. I'm more along this side. Like I'm more of that energy. For those of you who've been around me for a while, you start going, yeah, Duncan, no kidding. You really are all about the energy. Yes, I talk, but I'm big on visual when I'm looking at tasks. I'm big on variety. Love hanging around people. I'm not huge on the data. Okay, but here I was up here. And then I got my wife to do it, and she was all the way down here, all the way down here. And funny thing was, we'd been married for about 10 years when we did this, and that was a big, now I know why every time I'm racing off going, how about we do this, Penny's going, hang on, settle down. Okay, let's just talk about it. You know, we just want to make sure we've got it all sorted out. Okay, she's in that kinesthetic auditory place. She's very, very grounded. And for those of you who have met my wife, you'll know that she's very grounded. So we then go from our operating systems into our vision types. And this is going to blow you away. In spring, it is about perspective. Okay, it's about looking again where you can see how this build's working. It's innovation. You're asking all the what questions. It's very visual, hence the perspective, the vision type is perspective. Whereas in your summer frequency, it's about color. So color here, again, if you can recall, color is about magnifying. Okay, it's about magnifying. So take something that has, put it in perspective. Again, you've heard this right. Hey, let's put this in perspective. It's about, let's get some, you know, what is this? What is this? Put it in perspective. They both are talking about the what. They're talking about the task. So you can take a task, so you can get creative, and then you're going to have some people are going, I want to bring energy to that creation. I want to bring color to that creation. Someone's come up with a concept. I want to give it light. You know, I want to take it from a drawing, a black and white drawing, to magical color. I want to take it from the start of Wizard of Oz, black and white, to Technicolor, beautiful colors everywhere as Dorothy in her red slippers walks down the yellow brick road. Then down in our autumn, our very grounded, we want to make sure that this is about being in perception. Okay, are they perceptive? Okay, and often I see this is a huge contrast. Once it talks about vision, this comes up in language a lot. Let's put this in perspective, or someone is very perceptive. So remember, again, we say if someone's perceptive, they are what? They're a little bit more about feeling. So again, you can see how these terms are absolutely smack bang on. And then in our winter frequency, it's about clarity. Doesn't necessarily mean it has a lot of color in it. Just want to make sure it's clear. Because remember, look at the word above that, certainty. I want to make sure it's clear. I want to be certain. I've got good analysis, making sure that I know how to do this. Okay. Now, once you begin to understand this, can you see how this is going to link in to some of your investments? Because as you go, as we all have a predominant frequency, you will actually move between all the frequencies. So as you go through life, as you go through business, as you go through decision making, sometimes you will touch on all of these, and frequently you will touch on all of them, but you'll find that your path of least resistance, what comes easiest to you, what you enjoy the most, is going to be where you're spending your predominant time. If you're in business, businesses go through this cycle. We as humans go through this cycle. I think you could probably say, you know what? We have a spring period when we're born, when we're quite young. We move into our summer period as we mature. Then we have our autumn period, or our twilight years, before we move into winter, where finally things come to an end. Business goes through the same thing. There's creation, there's a new business, there's a new construction. Then it moves into summer, where it's like really hitting its bootstraps and things are moving and there's a lot of stuff going on. Then there's a period in business where it just slows down. There might be need to trim some of the branches a little bit. There might be just to get rid of the fat. There's a period of time for consolidation, because sometimes a business will go into slow mode. It's really, really quiet before, as they analyze, as they take time, as they take stock, they launch into a new spring period. So before I launch into some of the different investment types, has this been helpful? Like, are you guys getting anything from this? So just type in again, please let me know what makes sense. What do you like? Does anyone have any questions? In fact, if you've got any questions, just put your little hand up. I can see you. I'm sure I've got the ability on this wonderful piece of technology to unmute you guys if you are all on mute. Anyone got any questions at all? Okay, cool. Right, we'll just power through. I just want to get to the last few bits. Okay, the last few bits. So here we go. Here's the investing bits. When we're looking at our spring, summer, our autumn, and our winter frequencies, I've put a whole bunch of description up there. So this is going to work well for the visual people. I'll have to explain a little bit for the auditory, and we'll go really slow for everyone who's the auditor connectors, and the analytical data people will just have to go through this over and over again. But in the springtime, as an investor, you're going, what are the types and what are the new exciting opportunities that are out there? What's never been done, or what is something that you've never done? Okay, so we're back to task. What is it? The other types of investments you have is, you know what, I don't want to create it. It's been done before. I want to coordinate. I want to have people involved. I want to bring a team together. I don't want to create it. Happy to use something that's already existing, but I want to get people involved, and I really want to magnify this. I want to give it energy. I want to make this puppy work. Okay, so there's investments that link into that. Then you've got to have investments where the investments are really about timing. Okay, it's about transactions. Okay, this is where you're understanding the value that you bring, and you're leveraging time. It might be your time. It might be that you are helping other people leverage their time. So that's the value that you bring. Then there are going to be some investments that are all about data analysis. Okay, people just get in the way. You don't want anything to do with people. You want to make sure you have a system, you have a process, it's replicable, and you're going to do the same old stuff. You don't care whether it's boring, because it's about certainty. So in business, we're going to have these 4 key frequencies in business. You're going to have product-based businesses where they want to have the same market, the same number of customers, same location, but it's about changing the product. Okay, it's product-based, dollars per product. How can I make things new? How can I innovate? How can I create? How can I move? Business in summer is about market-based. Don't care about the product. I want to understand about changing the market. It's about the people, okay? Location-based, where they are saying we can have the same types of product, same types of market, but it's location. It's about timing. Where am I at, okay? When do I need to get this right? So remember, these are some of the when questions. And then the analytical part of business is when it's about transaction. You don't care about the product. You don't care about the location. It's simply about the number of customers. How can I replicate this system? So again, in business, you're going to go through these cycles. So when you're looking at investing in businesses, you need to understand, if you want to invest in a business and you want to get a good return, is it going to provide you return because it's now at that transaction-based period where it's simply about the number of customers? It's a transaction business. So if you're investing in a transaction business, what are you reliant on? You are reliant on that it's got a replicable system, and it's actually got a system. It's got something that's certain. It's got something that's stable. It's all about the numbers, and you need to make sure that you've got customers. What happens if the customers dry up? It's done, okay? It's done. So go, okay, well, if I want to invest in a business, I'm concerned that I don't want customers to dry up, so I'm happy to move into somewhere that maybe is in a summer energy. It's market-based. They've got a good product. They're actually exploring different markets, and that's kind of cool. That's kind of exciting. But again, here's the thing. If your natural frequency is one of certainty, if your natural frequency is one of analysis and data, the last thing you want to be doing is investing in a business that's going through all this dynamic change, and there's all this energy happening. There's people going everywhere, and there's all this variety and flexibility and change happening. Can it work? Sure. But can you begin to see it is not your path of least resistance? You are going to struggle. When you look at the types of investments within shares, okay, again, in that spring period, you're looking at startups and IPOs. You're looking at opportunities that have never come up before, or you have not experienced before. You're looking at market leaders. Okay, you're looking at market leaders. What is the new thing that's Apple's come out? In fact, even today, there was a press release that came out that Warren Buffett has now got a 30% stake in Apple, and Apple shares have been going south for 12 months. They're at one of its lowest points, but he knows they're coming out with some new creations. He's jumping on to a product that's gone through a frequency, spring, summer, autumn, winter. Hey, it's coming out of winter, it's moving into spring, and that's where he's put his dollars. So some of this frequency, this path that you'll experience, this change, this cycle is probably the best word. The cycle can sometimes happen in weeks, months, years, and over a lifetime. So again, in shares, if your natural frequency is one of, I want to get the timing right. I want to make sure that it's a good, solid company. It's transactional based. I want to make sure that it just feels right. Then don't invest in IPOs. Don't invest in those new startups. Okay, will it work? Possibly. But will it work for you? Questionable. You're not going to be comfortable. You're going to have to draw on a lot of different people to help you manage that. And if you're trying to do it by yourself, it's not going to work. So again, if you're one of those energetic people, you want to get people involved. So you look at a variety, and I've got funds going on, and I'm probably going to use these kind of people are more about, I don't have to find all the opportunities myself. I'm just going to connect with people who have opportunities, and I'm going to help them guide me in opportunities. And I'll have a bit over here, and a bit over there, and a bit over here, and a bit over there somewhere. So you're very reliant on other people. You're not looking at detail and data. You're not looking at, I want to make sure that all the numbers come in. You just want to have the energy and the people around you to get stuff happening. Okay, you like to fire. And then if your natural flow is that details and analysis, you're going to be looking at extensive market research. You're going to be looking at PI of a company. You're going to be looking at the market research and the company reports. You're going to be looking at the ratios, the PE ratios. You're going to be looking at dividends. You're going to be looking at cents on the dollar. You're going to be looking at merging opportunities. You don't want people in your ear. You just want to look at the cold, hard numbers. So again, it is as an investor, if you understand what you're naturally good at, you're going to start investing in some of these that naturally come right to you. And if you consistently, or even once or twice, start investing in an area that is so opposite to your natural flow, again, can you make it work? Yes, it's going to be hard work. And this is where you just sometimes need to understand that. Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity on. I reckon the numbers stack up. Man, this is going to be a bit of a slog. And again, either you do it, or that is where you align yourself with someone else who can do it. Find someone. So let's say your predominant frequency is one of energy. You like variety. You want different opportunities. You're not going to look at the numbers. Go and employ someone. Go and pay money. Go and hang out with someone who does the analysis stuff well, and they enjoy it. So they're going to do the analysis for you. They're getting their rocks off. They're having a good time. They're in their flow. They're giving you the results. You can go and magnify stuff. You can be energetic. You can make some good decisions. You haven't had to get bogged down in the detail. When you look at real estate, a property development, again, in the springtime, the creators are looking at, I want to create stuff. I want to build. I want to get in developments. And again, the detail is not there. They're not crunching the numbers too much. They're not looking at buy and hold. It's, I want to be in, I want to be out. This is awesome. I want to be with people. Rah, let's get into it. The energy frequency is about, you know what? I want to have that team. I might do some renovations. I might look at that development, but it might be in a joint venture structure. It might be with some other people. I might do a bit of property. And here's a cool thing. And again, once I started understanding this in more detail, I went, you know what? The decisions that I've made as an investor has been in my path of least resistance. The greatest opportunities I've had is when I've been right at that creation and teamwork stage, when I've been able to get into variety of having multiple investment opportunities in property, in shares, and the details. I don't do the details. That's where I'm going to employ someone that's looking and crunching the numbers for me, looking at my P&Ls, looking at my balance sheets, making sure the cash reports are on target. It's someone that can hold me grounded and go, slow down there, dunks. We just got to make sure things are working. And also, once I understand this, then as a coach, I can get to make sure that, okay, if some people have a predominant frequency in one area, how can we evolve to make sure that everyone's exploring all opportunities? So in property, you're then looking at in the autumn, again, this is about timing. This is about just feeling right. You're going to be engaging people because, it just feels right. Is the market doing its thing? You're going to get a feel for the market. This is probably going to be a little bit slower because we're doing, for example, a buy and hold. In winter, again, this is where you're looking at a lot of analysis. You're looking at numbers. You're looking at days on market. You're looking at auction clearance rates. You're looking at demographics and population changes. You're really getting into an analytical data mode before you're making any decisions. So they're the three key areas of investment: business, shares, and property. No matter what you invest in, there will always be an investment that is more closely aligned to what comes naturally for you. So for everyone out there, for all of my existing one-on-one clients, remember to book your next strategy session. And for Dean and Linda, I think you guys are still there. We got to catch up and have a bit of a chat about how your meetings went last Friday. For the guys still online, for who else we got? We got Ty and Alan, Tony, a couple of guys that are floating around the edges, Peter, Dave. Yep, there's a few more as the list goes up and down. I hope this has been valuable to you guys. I'm going to wind it up there. Like I said, it's been just on 50 minutes. So thanks for coming. I hope this is valuable to you. If you've got any questions, anyone, just feel free to drop me an email, shoot me a text. More than happy to answer any questions that you have on this one. It was fantastic. This is something that is not spoken about very much. And it is so important that once you really get clear about how do you align and how you get in flow and how your natural frequency that you experience in your everyday life has a direct correlation with the types of investments you choose, you'll be far more happier. So take it easy, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. And it was so great to hang out with you. I will catch up with you all again pretty soon. See you later.